that have come to see me who also have gone to religious life in different communities also. So yes, I mean, young people are, responding to the call to, to religious life or to, ordained life.
Here's actually, there are very good questions here. Is the Pope going to write an encyclical on faith to complete the trilogy? He seemed to equate faith and hope.
Oftentimes, the Holy Father, it gets very close to the time when there is a publication that we then find out what he might be working on. I don't think at this point, we could really say that he is going to. The only talk I hear is that he is concerned about some moral issues, and he may well be writing on that. It is true that in his encyclical on hope, that the very beginning of it does base itself on the virtue of faith. Arguably, he used that as an introduction to situate hope, and one could still foresee another work just on faith itself. The Holy Father is very concerned about what is happening in the world today. I already alluded to the idea that many people are living without hope and how restless that makes them and without direction in their lives. He's also very concerned about, and he spoke to the bishops down in Washington at the Basilica, that one of the things that he wants us to speak about more and more is the idea of the public nature of faith, that in the Western world, to a considerable degree, faith is becoming pushed into the sidelines, and faith is becoming more and more a private event between an individual and God, as opposed to having a public face. So those would, tend to let me believe that, granted good health and energy and all, I would not be surprised at all that he would write on faith, because I think that is a very burning question today on many levels for many people.
Well, I lied. We're going to give you a softball question. Right here. Who is going to win the Notre Dame-Boston College game?
It'll be a Catholic school.
All right, now we get back to the we get back to the tough ones. Here's a couple that have to do with clustering. First, I'll ask this one. When a parish is closed, where does the money go? Why not to the people?
The assets and the liabilities go, according to the latest ruling from Rome, goes to where the people are ascribed to. Let me explain what that means. But that's what the ruling said. If a parish is closed, and for example, that territory is given to the next parish, then after all the bills are paid and whatever, the assets and the liabilities would go to the parish that received that territory. In some cases, a closed parish could very well, after conversation with the people, be divided between two parishes, given the geography and all of that. And in that case, accordingly, it would be also divided, assets and liabilities with the 2 or more parishes where the people were ascribed to. Now, being ascribed to is different than where they're going to go. I mean, we all know that, everyone doesn't go where the territory is that they live in. But the norm, the standard of how we do this has been decided by the Congregation for the Clergy, that it's where the territory is assigned to.
Let's keep on with the clustering thread we have here. Is the clustering closing process going on throughout the country?
No, it's not going on throughout the country. I mean, certain parts of the country, the Catholic Church can't build parishes fast enough because of rising, population. I mean, the fastest growing diocese in the country, proportionally, is Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, people are moving there, and they're building churches there. Charlotte, North Carolina, is building schools and parishes. Some of those large dioceses in Texas are building because, again, Galveston, Houston is now 1.5 million Catholics in that diocese. It's about the 5th or 6th largest now in the country. So that, no, they're not. In the Northeast and across, going as far west probably as Chicago, yeah, I mean, it's happening because what we have said and everyone else has said, it's changing demographics. I mean, in 1970, if you can just, bear with me for a moment, in the Diocese of Cleveland, it was estimated that there were 915,000 Catholics. Today, it's 785,000. That's 130,000 less Catholics in the 8 counties. The news only gets worse. In 1970, with 915,000 Catholics, 54% were regular churchgoers. Today, it's 29%. So, between 1970 and today, there's 250,000 less Catholics in church every Sunday. That's what we call a demographic shift. They're just, and then of course they have been redistributed around the 8 counties. The county that comprises, Cleveland is losing steadily. I mean, they're down just now to just a shade over 400,000 people. And Medina and Wayne and Ashland are growing rapidly.